Servus Männer, it's Red Pill Germany again. I've been telling you in my recent talks that the AfD is doing quite well in the polls now, and they gained a lot in popularity as our government in Germany is becoming more and more hostile to the people. I mentioned that in a lot of contexts, for example, migration, also energy and economic industrial policies. The people are, or some of them are waking up in the sense that they see that our current course is not really benefiting in any way, quite the opposite. So they turn to the only real opposition force that we have right now that has a potential to threaten the status quo in Germany, and that is the AfD, the only real opposition party in Germany. Once again, of a certain size that is realistically threatening the status quo. And of course, you can imagine that the elites, that our establishment, they will not just watch, they will take measures, and they have been taking, of course, measures already since the very beginning. They are using very unfair, underhanded, and aggressive measures in order to get rid of the AfD, to isolate them, to demonize them, to put them into a corner. But as now 20% of the German voters, or more than that actually, federally, on the federal level, would vote for the AfD, that's what the polls say, now they have to think of some additional methods. And in today's talk, I want to present from my point of view, at least the four most important avenues, the most important measures that the establishment is pursuing at the moment in order to get rid of the AfD. So while you can look at some blackberries and the forest, you can follow me. All right, so the first one is legal action, and most of you or many of you might have heard about that. They just want to ban the AfD, like they tried to ban the NPD, for example, which, and I mentioned that several times, which ultimately failed because the NPD was full of informants and actors of our secret police in Germany. And that is why, in the end, they couldn't really pin it on legit members of the NPD, like some shady stuff or stuff that sounds like it's not in accordance with our constitution, whatever. In the end, it was indistinguishable what were the provocateurs and the informants and the secret police agents in the party. So that didn't work out. So maybe the regime learned from their mistakes back then, and now they try to do it in a more or less clean way. Who knows? And this kind of legal action, so banning the party that threatens the status quo, you see that in a different variant now in Brazil and the US, where it's, I think, not a party that should be banned, but just a person, for example, Bolsonaro and Trump, and they should be made, by legal action, turned into people that no longer threaten the status quo because they are charismatic leaders, and you make it so that they cannot be at the top of a movement or a party anymore, by just suing them, so they cannot assume office anymore, whatever. But in Germany, legal action means banning the entire party, not just a leader or some figurehead. All right, that is pretty much straightforward, and that also goes hand in hand with the second approach, with the second point, and that is intelligence action. That is our secret police in Germany, our political secret police, I would call them, the Verfassungsschutz. Some evil guys are saying that they are an organization that should protect the government from the constitution and not protect the constitution. Anyway, so a new guy, not so new anymore, but a guy has been installed there some time ago who is very, very obedient and very loyal to the system, and somebody who was a little bit too conservative and who also, he wasn't our guy or anything like that. He just didn't, he in some isolated cases refused to use the proper terminology as Antifa dictates, and that is why he was kicked out. And I think they even have a file on him, and they take action against this guy also. So basically, now the head of the secret police in Germany is a guy who is very, very much on the side of the establishment. And he even said in an interview recently, the wording is very peculiar here, he said that it is not his job alone to get rid of the AfD or to fight the AfD. So that means that he sees it as one of his primary objectives, even though he can't do it all by himself, but it is his prime objective to fight against a democratic party in a democracy. And when the secret police chief says that, well, that says a lot about our system here in Germany. So he admitted basically that it is his number one mission to get rid of the AfD by using, well, informants, intelligence officers, provocateurs, and many of these things, and a lot of this now happens online. And I reported to you about that. I said that there are many, and this is official information, by the way, many provocateurs and informants and assets working online. So they're tweeting outrageous stuff, and they're looking into who answers, who retweets, and all this stuff. And they're trying to find people that they can get dirt on. Yeah, so be very careful about what you post and who you talk to online. Also, probably is in these contexts, in these situations, probably is an informant, probably someone who works for the German secret police. I think the same thing applies in the US with the feds. That's just what they do. Okay, that was the second approach, and it goes hand in hand with the first because they use intelligence in order to collect the evidence, the so-called evidence for their legal action to ban the party altogether. They already called some party organizations, like some youth organizations in some of our federal states, they already classified them as right-wing extremists, whatever that means. It's not defined what the hell that's supposed to be, but once they categorize them officially like that, then it makes it easier for them to ban them. And this is a case they're building right now. So, and the third approach would be just street violence. And we saw a lot of that lately. A lot of AfD members, while they're campaigning, have been attacked by mobs of people. And the police even, well, I would go as far as say that they spread, or at least didn't deny, false or fake news about that. Like it was mixed up with something that happened in the same night. So out of an ambush on the street, they turned a bar fight, and that is not correct. So they tried to ridicule the victims and say that it's their own fault, or they even started the fight, and which is absolutely not true. So, and this goes on for a long time already, but I would say it intensified now, and even lists were found, which is illegal in Germany. It's really a thing that the government now really said this is very, very bad if you collect or if you compound lists of your political enemies. Yeah, that is something that is. But I think they only meant if the AfD were to compound such a list, then it would be bad. But if Antifa does that, it's not bad. And, you know, I think you can guess what kind of list now surfaced and came to light. Of course, an Antifa list of AfD members, yeah, with home address and everything and their full name. And yeah, so of course, these are threats, thinly veiled threats. That they will come and attack them in their private homes or on their way to work. And we see it happening already. Yeah? So that is the third approach, just good old street crime. Just beating them up, basically. Yeah? So to make them afraid, to make AfD members afraid to be active in the party, to be on some list, or to show their face in public, basically. Yeah, and the fourth one is a very interesting one. It's a new one, not that new for the Federal Republic of Germany. It is not new for Germany in that sense, but for the Federal Republic. It is something that has been done in the GDR, and that is designing parties. Yeah, trying to design parties, new parties, with a chosen leader and with a program that is engineered in order to take votes away from the party that you want to sabotage. And that is what they're trying to do with the more nationalist-minded socialist Sarah Wagenknecht. She is an Iranian, comes from the GDR, so she's a full-blown communist. But she kind of makes it sound like as if she also has some nationalist interests, or that she has the well-being of the German workers in mind, and that she wants to make politics or to enact policies that benefit Germans and not just random people who are in Germany, even though you could say that about her. So she signals here and there, but she never explicitly says it, and she basically got kicked out, or measures were taken in order to kick her out of the Communist Party because of this stance. That is why the media, the press, the political system now, they're basically asking her openly to form a new party, that would fracture the communist left in Germany, but that would take away some of the protest votes that are now, or the protest voters that are now considering voting for the AfD, that are a little bit left-wing, but still a little bit patriotic, nationalist-minded, or who just think that all this immigration, for example, is not a good thing for our German welfare state, and that they maybe themselves wouldn't receive any welfare anymore if all these foreigners come in, etc. So these kinds of voters, not nationalists really, but maybe less progressive communists. These kinds of voters that now a considerable part of them is now in the camp of the AfD voters. And for this reason, the establishment really tries, they're begging her to form a Wagenknecht party that would then potentially, especially in the eastern states, take away 5 or 10% of the AfD. So engineering parties with a chosen leader in order, or using also demoscopic information, social engineering, in order to have a streamlined, engineered party that with the only purpose to take away voters from the AfD. This is really something I haven't heard about in Germany yet, but this is what they're trying to do, so they're really desperate. So those were the 4 major measures, or new measures. Of course, there is the old stuff. I mean, that the entire media is against the AfD, that they lie about them all the time, etc. This is not really new. This is going on all the time, but it doesn't work anymore. This blade has become blunt, and this is why these 4 points are rather new now, or at least in that intensity new. And this is at least my perspective. And you can be white-pilled about it and say, oh, look, they're afraid, they're scared, and they have to become more desperate and more extreme. But, the little black pill Germany in me says, well, these repressive measures, they exist for a reason. It's like evolution. It's like an animal. They exist because they work. And you find them everywhere in these totalitarian systems, not because they're just evil, because it works. That is why China uses these techniques, because they work. And here it's a little more hidden, it's not so in your face, it's not so direct, but it's totalitarian stuff. And it is done because it works. And that scares me, because I know it works. On the other hand, as I said, you can be white pillish about it and say, oh, look, they're afraid, more and more people will wake up, the more drastic it becomes. Maybe we get another 1989 event, who knows? I don't know. I'm drawn back and forth between white and black pill about this. But this is my little update from Germany. Let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Servus, Kameraden.